Hello, Robin Carroll here. I am so glad you're joining me for this week's Sunday lesson. We've been reading stories and talking about the integrity of the earth and how to care for her. And this week we celebrate Mother's Day. We'll also celebrate the Mother Earth. It's really about celebrating the mothering spirit in each one of us and how we, humans, and our natural world are all connected through that same spirit. We experience that through our physical senses. Do you know what those are? Seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and smelling. And since it's Mother's Day, let us share some ways that that person who mothers you expresses love in those ways. Well, seeing, we do that through they do that through their smile. We see their smile, the light in their eyes, the things they do for us. Hearing, well, we hear their voice and the loving things they say to us and how they support us through their words. Touching, a big warm hug, hands that help us, and the loving things they say to us. Tasting, that's easy, through the food they make for us. And smelling, maybe it's the way they smell, or maybe it's the food, nothing like fresh baked cookies. And maybe it's flowers that they put in a vase on the table. Spirit expresses love through nature and Mother Earth as well. What are some of the ways that we experience nature through our physical senses? Well, through seeing, we do that when we walk in nature. It could be along the beach, in a park, in a forest, or in a backyard garden. We see the flowers, maybe we see the beautiful ocean or some trees. And of course, there's all the birds and butterflies and the animals. Hearing. Through hearing, we can hear the sounds of nature, whether it's birds, the wind rustling through the trees, or the waves on an ocean, on a beach somewhere. Touching. We can touch the flowers. We can touch the trees. Maybe it's some rocks that we have found along a path, or swimming in the water of a stream. Tasting. We can taste nature through fresh fruits and vegetables, through the water. And then there's smelling. The fragrance of flowers, dirt, pine needles. Maybe it's that salty smell of the sea. So there's many ways we can experience Mother Nature. And all the ways we experience the infinite. This week's story is Taking Care of Mother. And the affirmation is, I bless all the parts of Mother Earth that make one whole. And I invite you to join with me in saying that 2 more times. I bless all the parts of Mother Earth that make one whole. I bless all the parts of Mother Earth that make one whole. Now the story is Taking Care of Mother. Pavel and his twin sister Rosa watched the moving truck drive away. The apartment below theirs had been empty for weeks, and now maybe there would be some new kids to play with. They ran downstairs to see if there were any signs of children, but stopped at the sight of an old man with white hair carrying a potted plant into the apartment. He saw them watching and smiled. Rosa was the brave one, saying, "Hello, do you have any children?" The man nodded his head and said, "Yes, but they have been grown up for a long time. He could see the disappointment on their faces, and so he added, "But I have 2 grandchildren who will visit me often. Does that help?" Rosa and Pavel brightened at this news and ran back upstairs to tell their parents. Mr. Park, the new neighbor, was very nice and friendly, but he wasn't around very much. Pavel and Rosa once invited him to dinner, and he said, "I'm sorry, I can't come this time. Mother needs my help." Again, when they asked him if he would like to go to the library with them, he kindly explained, "Mother needs my help today, but perhaps another time." Pavel and Rosa thought it was very nice that Mr. Park spent so much time with his mother. He was an old grandfather himself, with white hair and a face full of smiley wrinkles. His mother must be really old. One afternoon, Pavel and Rosa heard a loud knock on their door. It was Abby and Jake, Mr. Park's grandchildren. They wanted to play soccer. Pavel and Rosa became good friends with Jake and Abby from that day on. During one visit, Mr. Park came out to interrupt the soccer game, announcing, "Mother needs our help. Do you want to come help?" Jake and Abby both gave an enthusiastic cheer. Pavel and Rosa hesitated because they didn't want to interfere with special family time, but Jake and Abby insisted they come too. So they put away the soccer ball and asked their parents. Once they were riding in the car, Rosa asked Abby, "What's your favorite part about visiting your great-grandmother? Does she tell you stories or play games?" "Our grandmother loves card games." Abby and Jake looked at their grandfather for a moment, then all 3 began to laugh. Rosa and Pavel were confused. Abby finally explained, "Sorry, Rosa, Grandfather isn't visiting his mother. He's going to the Clear Creek Wilderness area. He always says that the workers there are helping Mother Nature to stay healthy. That's why he is visiting Mother." He means Mother Nature. Pavel wanted to make sure he understood. "You mean you're not taking care of your little old lady mother?" "Well, Mother Nature isn't little. She's very big. But she is really old, and always young at the same time," Mr. Park answered with a smile. Mr. Park explained that in the nature area, the volunteers help to keep the environment safe for people and animals. They pulled out harmful plants like poison ivy. Pavel remembered how itchy he was after touching poison ivy once. He never wanted that to happen again. They cleaned up trash and kept trails clear. One fun job was to look for birds and wildlife to keep track of which animals were living in the forest. Today, the volunteers were going to help release some animals back into the wilderness. They had been treated for injuries, but were now healthy enough to go home, and the children were going to be able to observe. Pavel and Rosa were really glad they had come along. The first animal was a hawk. Someone had shot it and injured its wing. After some surgery and time recovering at a bird hospital, the hawk was strong enough to fly on its own. The hawk didn't leave the cage immediately when the door was opened. It looked out at everyone to make sure it was okay to go. Then it burst out and spread its strong wings and lifted high into the air. The children watched as the hawk flew over the treetops. It filled the air with a loud scream of joy before it was gone. The children felt thrilled to their toes. A raccoon was also released to its home in the forest. The raccoon had cut its leg on some glass that had been thrown in the creek and spent several weeks in the animal hospital. Now it looked perfectly healthy as it ran off into the woods. The children cheered as they watched it head for the creek. Then Mr. Park led them on a hike through the forest and they picked up trash left by visitors before they had to go home. In the car, Pavel asked Mr. Park a lot of questions about helping Mother Nature. He wanted to go back again. Mr. Park patiently answered every question. He understood how it felt to want to help. He also promised to take all the children with him another time. Rosa was very thoughtful on the ride home. She was thinking about the day and all the ways Mr. Park helped take care of Mother Nature. By the time she got out of the car, she had a list of ideas to help Mother Nature, even when they weren't out in the forest. So what do you think some of Rosa's ideas for helping Mother Nature were? And why do you think Mr. Park spent so much time out there? You probably help Mother Nature too, even if you don't think of it that way. What are some things that you might be able to do to help Mother Nature? Maybe it's picking up some trash just in your neighborhood. Yeah, I do that when I go on my walks. Well, I want you to know that we here at Unity of Austin miss your beautiful smiles and can't wait till we're together again. So I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful Mother's Day. And as I close out, I want to do so with our blessing. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you.